At 12 years old, I was biking to school. I'd reached the top of the hill and was about to do the run down the other side when I noticed there was a car about to turn. Before I knew it, I was being hit by the car. I went up onto the windscreen. I did a somersault or two before I hit the ground with my head. They were concerned that I might have swelling on the brain, so they were keeping a very close eye on that. Thankfully, they didn't need to operate. Stayed home for probably 2 or 3 weeks and then went back to school as if nothing had happened. I had suffered a brain injury. I went and saw a child psychologist just to check that everything was okay, and that's all that happened at that point. On the outside, I was probably looking perfectly fine, but the reality was that I was having difficulty with brain fog and just being able to think things through, losing words, lots of different things like that. I just found a way to cope. For me to acknowledge that I did have a problem, it was a sign of weakness, and I didn't want to be thought of that way. As a kid, you'd have fizzy drink here and there, but I found sort of in my late teens, early 20s that I was starting to have a big bottle a day, which would have been litre and a half. And then I found that I was having 2, 3, 4 bottles a day, and it just became more and more consistent through the years. I just felt like I couldn't function without drinking the fizzy drink. I felt like I would do better having drunk it. 2007, I went to the doctor not feeling the best. He said, I want to test for whether or not you have diabetes. So we did the test and he got in touch with me to say that I did in fact have diabetes. I was completely ashamed that I had allowed this to happen. I was once a fit, healthy person, and through my poor lifestyle, I'd ended up in this position. It took me 10 years to tell my family that I had diabetes. It was a Sunday afternoon. I'd just come home from church and I really didn't feel well. So I went and lay down on the bed and proceeded to shiver and shake and have chills and achy body and just not feeling very well at all. Went to the doctor, had a blister on my foot. I'd been very sick for 4 days. He gave me some antibiotics and sent me home. Said, come back in 2 days. So we did that. The doctor took the dressing off and you could tell by the look on his face that things had obviously progressed. He walked straight back out of where we were. He, from my understanding, had rung the local hospital to tell them that I was coming, that they should be prepared for my arrival. The surgeon told me that she was very concerned about my foot and that at least need to amputate my big toe and maybe 1 or 2 more, but they wouldn't know until they were actually in there and able to see what they needed to do. I knew from that point that life was going to be quite different. we didn't know what that was going to look like. Both the surgeons separately told me that I nearly didn't make it, and that in fact I had necrotizing fasciitis, a flesh-eating disease that is absolutely deadly. I felt like I had either two options, and that was to either continue with my head in the sand or to actually do something about my health and my well-being and just give it everything that I've got. God was right there with me. I'm encouraged that He has a plan for me. I want to help people that have found themselves in a situation where their life is tipped upside down. We go through pain and we go through situations often beyond our control. And I just want to be there to help people to get to that next step.